usually want to edge it that way, but keep your eyes out for some counter strats.
Well, let's go ahead. Tea Time and Yumi, take us from here.
Thank you very much, everyone. And yes, you are right, Mac. I'm always afraid of a 100% win rate on a map team. MIBR are fantastic on Ancient.
Yeah, it's kind of the devil you know versus the devil you don't, and at least
I know this devil is so devilish.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like they were saying on the desk, you know, this is a strong map for Boss as well. It's something that they pick and play quite frequently, so you'd like to believe that just because of that kind of angle, you want them to have a nice confident start as well, even on this map. Even though MIBR looks so dangerous on this, they can be quite dynamic. Life is, unfortunately, not always as linear as just looking at it and thinking, oh, we've won all our previous games on this map. Eventually, someone will be there to break the streak. I don't know if it'll be Boss, but there will be somebody.
The thing is, when I see Insani on the center of this map, the things that he can do, when I see how much fun it feels like he's having, no matter who he's going up against. I mean, you know, Das mentioned the Jean Sherping matchup that they had up against Virtus Pro in the semifinals, but you know, there was also a BO1 that they played in the group stage that went to like 48 rounds or something, and it was unreal because you saw every single one of the rifling core individually activate the longer time went on, right? Insani, Bearenzian, Drop, everyone had such good clutch moments, everyone had such good early rounds as well. You really got to see a very deep playbook too. I mean, they are playing 48 rounds, right? You're going to see all of the playbook. And that was where I realized, you know what, MIBR Ancient is just ridiculously strong from these guys.
It's also, unfortunately, from that same sort of result, it did seem like, you know, Insani actually had to do quite a lot to sort of have rounds for this MIBR squad. And it was only until we started seeing like late overtimes that other people started to have a bit more impact. So that can maybe be one of the downfalls of having a player that's so willing to take space and do so much for the team, is that it almost puts too much emphasis on him to perform, and especially if it's the youngest guy on this roster. You know, this is a talent that seems to be probably the most, I think, to me, one of the more exciting pieces that we've seen out of Brazil as of late. But we have yet to see whether or not that it can actually work for this MIBR team that have brought in more experienced players as a result of more recent roster moves. Because when we saw them trying to compete for Paris, it was a little bit of a shame that they couldn't quite make it, or they couldn't quite pull it together against the complexity in the last round.
It's true. That being said, I do want to talk a little bit about the Boss style as well, because obviously I know a lot of the people who are tuning in might not be as experienced with them. And look, I'm not the most experienced with them either, but from what I've seen and what I've really enjoyed about their play style is actually quite nice and Ancient. It's the fact that they really rely on their anchor players to potentially get aggressive, make a lot of the individual decisions on their own, right? You're going to be looking at Freshie, you're going to be looking at Darty, just having a very good time, always being able to push forward, even if it's a situation like B Mirage, where you don't generally see someone taking control of apartments, even if it's a map with less aggression possibilities than Ancient, they'll still do it and find that space while the rest of the three back up. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Of course, this is going to be their T side where they're starting things off, and it will start off with a quick play towards B, perhaps.
Yeah, Boss with a full battle of util and a smoke immediately to that mid window. So MIBR will be flying a little bit blind, but they hear a lot of that presence from ledge, close to cave. And so BRNizan already creeping forward towards the mouth of B, ready for a potential hit.
He's got a flashbang for Drop to peek out as well. There's three players here. This could either be a big moment or a big disaster. BRNizan starts things off. Drop will be found now. Cryptid to take him down. Darty with a second as well. And BRNizan fully blinded out. Not ready for Brett to push through. A perfect execution. Very nicely done from Boss.
Yeah, I mean, that full belt of utility being utilized perfectly for Boss, reaching into that B play and hunting down all those players, especially the ones that were sort of keeping those players out from the mouth of B. MIBR already calling it quits in this pistol. The 2-on-4 seeming a little too daunting. No kit available. Boss breakthrough first.
And MIBR had a game plan for this one, right? They even get that first skill in. They're ready to try and take control into cave. They're ready to try and counter this out because they know they've completely given up mid. And it's likely going to be that cave push because all the footsteps they got earlier on. Despite all of that preparedness, it doesn't matter. Insani, actually very significant that he gets these 2 kills over here because his armor is also there. So now you can pick up a Farmus and a smoke and a grenade, perhaps.
Got some options coming into the second round. MIBR decide to force. I like that Boss came in with a nice stable game plan. I like they got the smoke down red room window as well. Someone on MIBR would have had to run straight through that if they wanted the information. They didn't start anybody donut, for example.
Yeah.
So well rehearsed and a good opening round from Boss versus the MIBR pistol setup. They do have that force buy out. Sani with a 5-7. Didn't go the more greedy route, perhaps. Pretty compromised on this B bomb side. Drop with just the dualies, but that Molotov actually keeping Cryptic from taking too much room. Safe there to try and keep a watchful eye on how many players creep up from ramp, but Drop doesn't realize just how much his back is exposed. Cryptic, perfect utilization of those smokes, but exit to back and forth over towards A instead, and Insani's just there to plug that gap. Nobody actually trailing forward here on Boss. They peel back.
Feels like MIBR might just end up saving this one again. Safe can't really get involved with the scout unless he gets onto ledge and fast. Now, he has a timing window. He does. As the Boss bomb starts to move forward, if Safe can pluck out that shot, if he can find the head of Brett, this round could be interesting again. Instead, it's Bone alone to fall first and give information. That information leads to nothing. Flash is good. Allows the cross, and Cryptic spots out Insani but won't get the frag. Insani even long range with the MP9, able to get more damage in. It's a 3-on-2. HP is low for the T side.
And there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. BRNizan coming in on that flank, totally boxed in, and Brett traded on the bomb site. It's the force buy here from MIBR. When Boss had control of that B bomb site for so damn long, a man-up situation, it's those kills from Insani before that bomb gets planted that make a world of a difference.
And that's the problem with having such aggressively split up lurkers, trying to find space in bomb sites, trying to find out where the stack is that sometimes, even if you're able to get the frag and map control, you won't be able to rotate the bomb in time. So even the fact that Phone alone dies first over here, Safe, this kill is massive. Insani then doesn't have to worry about a flashbang coming over his way because they're out of utility. They can't push him through to him. And yeah, like you said, some great kills from him coming forward.
Yeah, I mean, Pone was low HP anyway, but the fact that he hit the headshot, it didn't matter who was ahead of him.
Molly down, and they're trying to run through it. They need to make good work of this, but Exit's got the double. Safe now getting involved as well. Knows he's got space to come out through that smoke. A second smoke to Bloom in front of him. Trying to play around these util pieces. Very nicely done, but he is being tagged up. The T's can't scale onto the site. Can't really look to fight into Temple yet either. They don't know that there's no CT players present here. BRNizan still worried about a mid push that'll never come. Boss have got to take some map control and do it fast.
This is the gap. This is the one place you might be able to exploit. Drop just trying to play far back. So if anybody on Boss decides to investigate CT spawn, they get cut down because these smokes are not going to last forever.
Bone's the one with the bomb though. He can't even threaten out the audio, nothing like it. So the only option they have is thinking that MIBR might bite into a rotate back from T-spawn. That's such a long shot to go for. And MIBR are not budging. Why? Because they've got drop near B. He'll have audibles.
Well, they do commit to the plan. Just on that corner, just out of sight. MIBR creeping forward out of Donut, but Brett standing his ground. Pone getting a one just before he dies. That's critical. 2-on-2 now, and Drop trying to push it, piece it all together as well. But that long range from Freshie, the M4 recovered. It's safe. He's walking wounded. The next bullet should do it. And Boss might just steal this round right back, and Freshie will punch it in. Boss, with their force buy, get right back into it.
Despite the fact that the mid-round plan from Boss isn't able to activate, they still get it all together. And MIBR unwilling to go for that information, unwilling to try and push forward, try and deny that bomb plant. They just lose out on the duels. Great job from Freshie finding that trade out and then finishing things off as well. But you have to say, it was that double-man crossfire into Donut that really cracks open that 3v4, turns it into a 2v2 in the first place.
They kept that pressure high before MIBR could creep themselves out. It is a force buy war at the start of their opening round for both these squads. MIBR certainly coming in as one of our favorites, one of these prospects. Boss have a lot of reasons as to why they could do poorly here. One being that stand-in situation, but that hasn't really proven to be an issue. I love this again. I mean, they're making use of this lurk smoke so well.
I think they spotted out drop as well, but I'm not completely sure. Darty does look like he had info and he's got the kill for sure. Now, you have to be concerned about BRNS, and Cryptic found out with the molly in his hand, and BRNS knows there's another player around the corner, what he cannot punish. Meanwhile, the bomb is much closer by. Freshie still playing containment back towards A. He'll force the MIBR players back in, and they are being worried. They know Safe's been good at this spot before, but fortunately he hasn't found that positioning up on top of the ledge. But Freshie is looking to punish him regardless. Safe pushes right into certain death.
Nice, sharp, clean shooting on these rifles, and this time that bomb was more gravitated towards that B bomb site. They took the space, they get that plant in fast. MIBR, I will say, do feel like they have a misread. They feel a little off-tempo, off-rhythm to what Boss are putting down. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Boss in terms of their utility usage. They're not always getting the right amount of space alongside it sometimes. You know, especially when we saw one of those A plays previously. They threw a Molotov towards the back of the bomb site. They didn't quite make it. It actually bloomed inside of the smoke. Now, those are small, minor details that will happen when things get a little bit hectic, a little bit faster, more chaotic. But they're making MIBR look very uncomfortable in these opening segments.
100% win rates are meant to be broken, Michael.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eventually it will happen, but who'd have thought it could be Boss? They keep playing like this, and MIBR don't make an adaptation. Times will be tough.
I'm surprised that there's no tactical timeout coming out from MIBR just yet either. It does feel like Bit's the kind of guy to try and get into one earlier on rather than not, but of course still, this is not really the round where you're expecting to get much anyway, so perhaps later on, right?
Especially if they have to deal with that lurk smoke over on that B bomb site and it's not addressed, that's when you'll expect Bit to start to chime in.
Ooh. Another failed Molotov, and Sani's going to be able to find the bomb planter, but not in time. In fact, Cryptic interrupts some of the bullets perhaps. Not entirely sure if that was a full factor, but it did seem that way. And now MIBR play containment. They can't let the T-side economy run away with these either. That is always the one precarious spot for CTs. If you end up losing the force by war, eventually the Ts get around where they're free to maintain 4, maybe 5 players. And you have to prevent that from happening. That's your main objective. But some clean shots, and Darty choosing to recontest might be something he regrets. In the meanwhile, Brett's clearing out middle. The Farmers has been lost as well. And although Bone Alone will lose his life, this is still a very good money-building round for Boss.
Yeah, that can be one of the problems with Ancient as well, is that even though you know you're against one of some of these low buys, if they're not actually going in for the retake, getting out of the bomb site can be quite annoying. The bomb radius is very, very big here on Ancient. Still, you can still take damage on the B bomb site when it's planted A, for example. It's not a lot of damage, but you know, if you're already surviving on 2 HP, you're fearing for your life. You may be resigned to your fate.
There's that MIBR timeout coming through. Want to try and change things up in the gun round immediately. Bit can get his 2 cents in as well. And one of the things I will say for Boss is that their coach Axt is one who hasn't really been talked about too much, and obviously priorly with the EG project. I've heard some good things about him. I've heard that he's been very good at managing practices back when he was in EG as well. They were one of the teams that apparently, again, was doing a very good job of preventing buggy styles, having very specific ideas going into practices and everything as well. I feel like that is reflected right now, but Insani would like to see maybe a little bit of blood being spilt out on lane. None will be found, though. Darty is playing containment and control. In the meanwhile, Safe's op is postured up. Bone Alone to try and peek into it. Flash will not matter. Safe good for 1, and the retreat is there. No one pursuing.
Cryptic even caught on the tail end of that flash, so not exactly a fair fight. Safe in great position to deal with that. Oh, spam right back onto Brett. Sani showing a lot of presence in this round, even if he was undetected up until that point. Cleared out lane over towards B, challenged through middle. Now Exit holds his back.
There's no util left for the CTs. This could be deadly, but Insani's over here to reinforce. Big double from the big man. And he's got the defense of BRNizan, and in the meanwhile, Darty finds that out firsthand. Bone alone. All alone, more like. And all dead.
Yeah, perfectly done. There from MIBR, you have that timeout there from Bit, and there's the immediate adaptation. They didn't actually throw the lurk smoke on B this round here on Boss, but you saw that MIBR wanted to play further forward so that if there was going to be any pressure in from that B lane, they would have players that could address it very quickly. But I think they're also coming to terms with the idea that Boss are actually spreading out on their attack fairly heavily and allowing these sort of extremities players to poke and probe into bomb sites. MIBR can't let their guard down, even though there's a lot of util being sent by Boss. It doesn't mean that all the players are there.
Darty is struggling a little bit. He's also very worried about the push from BRNizan that does come out around the corner. Exit is taking duels. Insani is the one winning them out, but the trades are still good for Boss. 3-on-3 and full mid control been given to them. Meanwhile, B side as well has Darty, who's still occupying it. They're avoiding the op by trying to go back to B. Drop is going to be holding things down here.
They're not just going to sit contained within Donut. MIBR, at a certain point, are going to probe for information, and Sani leading the way, that ult right behind it.
It's a game of timings. Will the flank connect before the site hit does? Drop has to hold down the line enough to get at least one kill and keep himself alive. A trade is not good enough here. But he doesn't know where they're coming in from, and now he's second-guessing himself. He's missed the timings. Darty will not be able to spot him out, though. Keeps his life for a while longer. The bomb will not be planted. They're trying to go back inside cave, or rather, I retract my statement. Insani finds Darty, finishes him off. Bone Alone and Freshy need to pull this round out of a hat. Bone Alone will be very concerned about Safe's presence, who is getting aggressive. The AK peeks forward, fantastic frag found, and Insani's been tagged as well. Freshy, in fact, given some cover from that smoke more than anything else. There's no Molotov, there's no util, and Drop good for one, but Bone Alone will be able to fight right back. Insani all alone. Bone peeks into him, and Bone's done it all. A big triple from the big veteran of Boss.
Standing in and standing tall in a big moment there for Boss. I mean, a big frag found inside of Cave, eliminating Safe as an element on that retake, and then just shot after shot. They knew where he was, but there was little utility they could do to make his fights and make his life that much harder. Boss off to a 5-2 start, and MIBR do not come in with a bye. They are moving swiftly. And the game plan that Boss came into this so far with has been very effective.
Now they are heading into a stack.
Much to know what their options are. You get a little few, precious few extra seconds as well if you're going to have to rotate into that B play. Should that forward aggression actually not pan out. All upside to playing forward, but it can also be one of those plays that teams account for, counteract, have, you know, Molotovs to flush out some of these more close range angles, some of the pockets you can slide into if you're that CT slide. It does feel like that is the solution for MIBR, but not going to play like that every round. And this, neither are Boss. They're going for more of an execute over towards this B site. Safe here with the ult, but Drop flashed up, but able to recover in time. Insani is there as backup, a contingency, but he's not even needed. It's Drop and Insani just simply feasting. And BRNizan sweeping up the last on the spam. It was more of a pistol play, just a simple burst here from Boss. But MIBR put a stop at it.
I have to say, Safe has been really impressive in always getting that one kill. And on Ancient, honestly, it feels like that's all you really want from your Opera, because your rifles are getting so involved on the mid side of the map. All you need from your Opera is one kill, stay alive, and Safe has been satisfying that equation. It's moments like that when your Opera misses that first shot, then a Tech 9 headshot comes through, there's some chaos all across the board, you don't really know how to play around it, and yeah. But now Brett He wants to go aggro early ends. Insani peeks up before the smoke blooms, wants to continue fighting as well, and that's where BRN can assist. Right down mid, he takes the peak, and Insani still stays alive. BRN isn't punished for maintaining forward presence over in Cheetah. The A site is the destination, but Safe is once again playing bodyguard.
He does peel back. It's because Exit's now taking those responsibilities. They'll know that he was playing more around that donut side, but that smoke is far from perfect. They can probe around the side of it, just have to be worried about Plat as a potential position, and they'll be just swell. It's a lot more information than MIBR are aware that Boss have.
Darty has moved past here, though. Molotov is very well placed, very well timed, but Bone alone is boosted up. Exit will not be ready. It's a free kill, and that'll start to pull the rotations back. Unfortunately, Darty died just as that happened as well. But around the corner goes Bone. Good damage found, only for Safe to trade out his friend as well. There was a world there. There was a window there. But unfortunately, Darty's demise makes it so Boss's game plan simply can't come into effect.
Yeah, really good catch by our observers as well. The fact that that smoke wasn't perfect, because there's no way they boost up tree if there's a smoke down like that. You don't want to be gray screened, jumping up, and have a player big just staring at you, jumping on one of your teammates' heads. That's a very quick way to get double killed. Because they had that room round it, you know, that was the vulnerability. That was the world in which they maybe pulled that round together if you were Boss. But now they come in with pistols. Last round of the half. At a pretty explosive start to this T side, but MIBR have found some answers. And now all they have to do is tie the bow on this round versus these SMGs and pistols, but Boss are getting a lot of space quite quickly.
Exit's gonna blow open this smoke, and it's gonna be 2 free kills. You'd think so, but Cryptic is so fast with the Tech 9. Safe. Flash forward, soon to be smoked off. Immediately rotates, no shots fired, nothing like it. No delays of the sort. Cryptic, in the meanwhile, though, has to be careful about the flank that is being planned by Insani. Who's going to be the first one to blink? Insani backs off. CTs will be focusing on the retake through spawn more than anything else, but Drop is consistently aware that Darty likes to play these lurking spots back to B. Ones that are currently unoccupied. Cryptic, inside Donut, has got back up, swings out wide! 2 big frags, and now Freshie on the bomb side is hoping to cut off BRNizen's head with that Tech 9, swings out wide and keeps the fight going. Safe around the corner, cannot hit the shot, and Boss maintain that advantage.
I mean, what a round from Cryptic. That instant trade round the smoke for Exit, gets his hands on that rifle, and just as they're setting up the flash for the retake, they knew that Donut was compromised. Cryptic swung right before they were ready for it, just hitting instant headshots. That was a round that they were working off a little, but Cryptic's the one that makes it go the extra mile.
And it's nice to see that second dimension as well towards the very end. It felt like their only win condition in that lurk smoke was finally mitigated. They take mid through with a nice half-buy setup, double peeking in with the Tech 9s, yeah. Just enabling Cryptic to have that moment.
I mean, definitely some cutesy plays from Boss throughout that T side.
For
but
sure.
Once they realized that they were figured out, you know, they went for a couple more of these executes. They went, and they were traditionally on the low buys. This time it was fast mid control, and man, does Cryptic make do.
To be honest, it feels like nading open that smoke might have just helped them a little bit more in that circumstance. Otherwise, if they were just planning on swinging out normally, that doesn't go so well.
Also, very fast pistol here from MIBR. They're just charging straight into the B bomb site, and that's because there's actually, weirdly, nobody home. Just playing far back. Darty wanted to try and keep himself alive, but he gets gunned, as does Brett on the rotate. So MIBR, B bomb site, straight into this pistol.
We've just transitioned from a nice weaving pistol from Boss to just MIBR. Yeah, just press W, bro. Boss goes back, checks for mid control, sees if there's anyone there, no one flanking, get the full execute out with a belt out.
Yeah, hold my smoke. They're not ready for this.
Oh, well. I don't think there's much you can say about that one from Boss other than, yeah, it just kind of got rolled, got to get over it and move on. Curious to see whether they go for the 4 spies or not. Of course, they will have these 2 Kevlars saved.
Terrorists win. Oh, they should and they will. Drop could have chased a little bit further if he was feeling frisky, but just happy with the extra round win. very emphatic start to the second half. MIBR, I mean, basically faced no resistance on this pistol round. I mean, yeah, you can see Darty, by the time he realizes just how close they are, they're already swinging wide from that long side.
Double Zeus.
Good positions for it.
You love to see it.
I mean, going into Cave, in particular, is... I mean, it's honestly a horror movie if you're up against those Zeuses.
It's asking for death, really, at that point. If you're not going to molly out the angle, and it feels like they will.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what? Lightning meet fire. One of those can be controlled a little bit more effectively. Safe. Swings out onto the B-bomb site, and there you have it. That should be the end of the round. Mac 10 can choose to hunt if Drop wants to go out aggressively. I just added the 10 to his name. He's a 10 out of 10 from me, Michael. Even if FURIA might not have agreed. Man done very hard by. You know, it felt like he was one of the players who was really fulfilling an excellent role there. And now that he's coming to MIBR, you're seeing that proven again. He's added so much to this team. Great at clutches, good at late rounds, fantastic early round decision making as an anchor as well.
Yeah, I really felt like MIBR got, honestly, kind of incredibly lucky that FURIA weren't gonna keep Drop and Safe.
It's like, wait, what? You're giving us one of the best ops and one of the best anchor?
Yeah.
Oh God, you're really driving a hard bargain for me, baby.
Drop was just one of those anchor players that seemingly kind of came out of nowhere. And Safe, you know, had, I think, a bit more attention drawn to him as being one of these prospect AWPers. Everyone was asking, go to FURIA, go to FURIA, go to FURIA. It didn't work out the way that they really planned to, but that was also just not really Safe's identity, the way that they wanted to try and play that AWP. But on this team, it feels like he's given a lot more respect, a lot more sort of space to play that style. That was actually a reason as to why he was considered one of those prospects. And it feels like the glove fits. So MIBR team are quite a lethal roster. Even if they come into 2024 a little, you know, sleepy perhaps. 2023 was definitely more of an impactful finish to the year. They are definitely one of these teams that cannot be slept on. But Boss are making a good case for themselves as well.
If not for the fact that Insani is sporting a whopping 110 ADR, that would have been a very different first half as well. Of course, one of the big stars, and he is hoping to continue forward on this T side. Drop the man to threaten aggression as he pushes forward into lane, but there's no contest from Boss. Not in mid, at least. All alone. What's the plan? Is there going to be a flash? Is there going to be any assistance? No, there's only going to be a threat, and that threat is quickly neutralized. Oh, wants to keep it going. Gets information as well. Darty, in the meanwhile, is about to be challenged. It might be safe, but he's not the kind to walk through a smoke. Oppers very seldom are. Cryptic, position is solid. Boost is there as well. They swing out, they're good for one, and that's the problem. Cryptic just gets a trade. Damage as well, but he can't finish off Drop, left with barely any HP. Drop forced to call in his bigger brother to try and fight his fights for him. Safe now in the playground. But is he about to eat a fistful of sand?
Cryptic doesn't spam back. Just knows that Freshie has his entrance, knows he can't be wrapped. The Molotov onto Pone will force him forward, but there's that cover. Safe dropped, and Cryptic just maintaining his attention over at ramp. Drop does find that trade, but comes in with that pre-fire. 35 seconds, that bomb loose, and just simply no health on Drop. He's calling it quits. Boss will breach in with their first round, and it's when they get their hands on these rifles.
And again, it's not like I'm looking at this and saying, oh my God, there's a star performance, but the communication is there, the chemistry, the timings, they're really hitting all the right notes to this song. Boost is perfectly placed. And then, like you mentioned, Fresh is providing that cover. There you have it.
Yeah.
Full faith in your teammates.
It's one of those things that, you know, the North American region almost gets attributed with being a little bit too loose, a little bit too puggy at times. You know, there were certain periods where the North American region wasn't credited with just how well they could actually play some of these crossfires and actually have that extra strategic depth to them.
And I'll be honest, it feels like the North American region more and more has gone towards that structure because these younger players are hearing about how, oh my god, NA is so buggy, and they don't want that anymore, right?
Yeah.
They think that the path forward is with util, is with crossfires, and sometimes you've missed out on your next big star, perhaps, but the foundational territory that is built is fantastic. It really is.
I love the idea of being able to break stereotypes, especially when it comes to, I mean, hyper important tournaments like these RMRs.
Oh, they know it. They heard that drop down.
Almost certainly.
Don't know if they've realized that was 2 players. But speaking of drop down, drop might end up down. Quick double peek out as well. Flash will do nothing to the CTs down in middle. Bono able to back off. Is there going to be any assistance? Or are they going to choose to abandon mid? It seems like the latter. No one's watching out for headroom. Control for that can be free. Instead, aggression being planned for Cheetah, but they're going to be going into 2 D-side players. Drop only good for the 1 cryptic trades, and he knows there's another around the corner. Exit's got the pre-fire, dink or not. He's got advantages.
It's a big kill to find, but will Exit actually be able to hold on to that control because he didn't keep on applying that pressure over towards B, and his teammates are starting to link up, creep their way through those doors. You just have to hope that Freshie receives some support, but Boss simply have the wrong read. Doubling up inside a temple, they know that Red Room could get Freshie the spam.
He doesn't want to reveal his position though. They're still playing for the retake. Brett's got a Molotov. And Exit's going to be able to find Freshie, spots out the barrel of the silencer, makes that duel easy for himself. And with that, Boss have got no choice but to turn back and save.
Yeah, that was, in a weird way, there was a world in which if Freshie had gone for that spam and actually hit on it, you know, they didn't have utility to segment off angle, so they couldn't go for the more safe plants when they don't have cave control. So they had to plant, you know, safe from long and short, and because of that, there was, you know, that possibility opening up. It kind of felt like the best possible way that they could have found at least an equalizing frag. Even if Freshie's position's given up, he knows that they can be in so many different positions. He just hoped that he wasn't getting completely locked into that cave.
And unfortunately, I mean, Boss do sort of paint themselves into a corner by trying to push double forward into a smoked off Cheetah, right? And it feels like they expected to find a kill with their mid double, right? They're hoping that they can find drop. They've heard that drop down from Insani. They've got a smoke through. And if they're not going to be able to find that kill and force out someone from Cheetah, then their 2 players from Cheetah are just going to be caught in that difficult spot where you just can't get 2 kills there, to be honest.
It's also one of those things where, you know, you consider the sort of regional competition within the Americas. Like when you think about North American competition, I'm sure, you know, doubling up and replaying back into a bomb site in the North American region actually works out quite heavily because there's so many players that are willing to play extremities and play these late lurking situations. MIBR stylistically aren't typically one of those teams. You know, we think about what they were doing on CT sides. They were challenging in through middle when they were at a deficit. They were trying to hunt for information to try and whittle down numbers in more of these rotationary spots as opposed to extremities. So that might just be one of those intercontinental disparities between them.
Yeah. No disparity in the rounds, however, as we have equalized 8-8. Another timeout from MIBR, maybe just to calculate the money, figure out what the likely circumstances are. I don't know if they're expecting a full eco like this outside of the saved weapons, but regardless, Freshie is hoping to threaten with that God-blessed power of lightning that he wields in his back pocket. Awkward angle to be playing in from, I have to say, in the middle of that A site. I expect him to take some control maybe back in Donut. But in the meanwhile, Brett just shows presence. Boss have the advantage that theoretically, this could have been a force buy. There could have been a farmer's drop from Brett, maybe from Bone alone as well. So MIBR has to treat it as such. But Bone alone, in the meanwhile, is not doing the same. He is getting aggressive right down middle. There is a timing. He should be catching it. Good for 1. And he spotted drop as well. So this double Cheetah setup will be allowed to maintain. And meanwhile, Freshie, all he has to do is keep control of Red Room with that USP. Brett's naded up, but he takes that first angle only to be taken down by a second nade. BRN is on. finishes him off, and their gun is not in a recoverable position either. Darty, position revealed, but they're waiting it for Cryptic. He's been spotted. Wants to continue fighting. The 5-7 finds nothing.
Man, such a well-orchestrated round here from MIBR. The utility they got down, the double nade as well to the back of the bomb site, because they funnel him into that position, round that short side smoke, and he just got obliterated by those nades. Ooh, that's a lovely kill there from Freshie. There's not much you can do about that if you drop. But it doesn't have any real bearings on the round. MIBR break past, even though Pwn alone made actually kind of a ballsy play, a very brave peek, got spotted pushing A main, decided to peel back, and then hit a different timing and caught MIBR. It's still not enough to deter them away from B.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless he got that double kill over there onto both of the players, it felt like it's a good idea, but it was all on Brett, right?
Had to get something and ended up empty-handed. Ult is out here now for Pwn, but same smoke over on B. This time Cryptic flashing for himself and drop floored. It's only the trade from BRNizan on the spam that they can be happy about.
And he can do nothing about that either. Cryptic only has to shrug and move on, but Safe is hoping to use that same smoke before it dissipates. A Molotov deep does reveal his position, and that position is then eliminated. This time, Brett's the one who's getting invisible kills rather than invisible deaths. Freshie. Molotov doesn't really do too much other than funnel Insani forward to a destination he was already planning on maintaining, and what a frag he finds Brett. Looked like he was ready for that, but a quick peek from Insani will still be his undoing, and the A site is where MIBR plan to attack.
Boss seem to have quite a good read of that, though. They're starting to gravitate away from the B play. They've got 2 already set up on A, so MIBR can't anticipate that it's only just the 1 anchor left.
At the same time, Pwn alone will also be able to just block out that lurk. It all comes down to Freshie and Darty up against BRNizan and Exit. Slow push forward into the site they go. BRNizan will have his gun barrel spotted. Freshie gets that kill for free, hugs out the headshot boxes, and Darty knows where Exit is as well. Freshie makes him unnecessary, and Pwn alone, who's been watching that potential flank all in the meanwhile, gives Boss a 9th with 3 players maintained.
Yeah, perfectly done. Perfectly read from Boss as well, creating this situation where as soon as Freshie takes that first point of contact, because they have that extra man there, they're basically lining up for a trade at least. They knew where Insani was last position, and it's very awkward once you're spotted red to actually peel back, you know, especially if you don't have B-side presence. You could be shot from ledge. They could be on that mid-floor already. Who knows? So I had to just try and maintain his position, especially because he was low.
So much damage. So much damage, and the boost up doesn't land. A deep nade won't be helpful either, but MIBR does evade the brunt of the damage at least. And they've got all 5 players here ready to try and make a play to find a pick.
Almost a mistake there from Safe, making that step just before he peaked, because you could see that Pwn was ready to flick up to it, so probably counting their lucky stars that didn't end poorly.
Look at how heavy Boss is willing to lean. They're expecting a fast play, they're expecting an execute, but MIBR resetting this will have to make them think twice. Do you want to get aggressive? Do you want to go for map control? We haven't seen a B lane take from them yet. Would be a great time to do it, would give them so much information, but MIBR might not give them the time to try and make that play.
They're poised for a split, and Boss are not in great positions for this. Freshie will be that first port of call. There's so much utility available here for MIBR, but they're trying to creep their way in.
Freshie might end up being the only port of call at this point. Brett will not really be able to fight up against the donor players too early in. Freshie good for 1. Can he make it 2? No. And now Brett has to find it. Gets the player with the Molotov in his hand. That'll be Exit's death met. Meanwhile, Cryptic brings an MP9 forward. Brett continues to hold down the line. Big double, and Drop will need the same to try and make this possible, but time is running low and the bomb is being planted. Swings out wide, spots Darty, but Darty just fades back into a fading smoke. Boss regained the lead, 10-9.
Boss are doing a great job of being able to play off of each other in these moments. I mean, you couldn't have asked for more between Brett and Freshie on that A play. Freshie taking that first contact, him dying as the anchor, and there just being another player right behind him, capitalizing on players pulling util on MIBR. And the thing is, they got segmented off. There was a Molotov down inside of A main, so there was effectively a no second prong to the assault, no second part to the split. Not much you can really split if there's only one side of it, funnily enough. That's all the extra space that Brett needed.
And that's where MIBR putting that many players inside that B-side potential hit early on is what really comes back to bite them. By the time you reset back into a position where a split is possible, like you said, all the utility on one side, all the flashes, all the Molotovs, and then you've got your spacing and all the rotations coming from Boss as well, and right in time.
This is where some of the analysis on MIBR could just be, I mean, listen, these guys do like to play as a pack. You know, you don't see these Extremities players hunting so aggressively. You don't see them trying to be the ones that make plays. They like playing within their own pack and hunting for those trades. Boss seem to be playing around that quite well so far on CT. Double setup inside of Donut this time over when they've had typically Freshie sat behind those boxes, that default box on A. Have to wonder, have to expect that MIBR are paranoid that that will be exactly, I mean, a very similar position. They're playing more for a retake on the A play should there be a smoke that obscures their vision. Donut.
Insani just gave out a sound cue so that the Donut players would try and hunt him down. That allows the exit to be set up for a boost if he can find the shot onto Cryptic. If Cryptic goes overly aggressive, there is a world where you get a bomb plant. Just Brett to deal with at that stage, but time's been given out to the CTs to reset and now reinforce back into Donut, and back to Donut they go. They know exactly what's coming their way. Brett and Cryptic just hold down Mouse One. And they're more than happy to collect on these frags. Boss looking very good, potentially one gun round away from a big upset.
Yeah, I mean, this would be one way to start here in the Americas RMR. I think if you ask anybody that watches the region, most would have MIBR over Boss. Yeah, I think they're definitely considered one of the favorites within the Brazilian region even. You know, we think about the trifecta of teams, you know, you're thinking Imperial, MIBR, and FURIA as really the top three at the moment, I think, within that region. Also played a very solid game plan, through and through.
Look at this aggression. Baron is in his air to punish, but do they realize there's another player still present? Insani will go by unnoticed. 4v3 found. Freshie. Smoke dissipating, Bone alone around the corner, and I think that his shoulder was spotted only to turn back in and continue fighting, but a missed shot is there, and now they've rotated away Freshie as well. They're not ready for this A hit. Bone has to hold down the line. But MIBR, they don't actually have the Donut smoke. They've not been prioritizing that, so maybe Bone would have still been able to be a threat, and they realize that. They back off. But in doing so, give Boss time to reset. Back over to mid they go. Insani, if he falls too soon here, he can't guarantee his team's ascent to the B bomb site. That's the timing window they're hoping to hit, and he's gone. He's immediately eliminated. How are they going to cross the op? That's what Bone alone is hoping to prevent from doing. Great kill, and the collateral as well. The nade forward, and they're going to continue to fight. Pistols out, MIBR cannot scale onto the bomb site. Finally, in a position to plant the bomb. But the advantage, HP, numbers, utility, everything to CT's safe has to put up the kills immediately. Needs to swing out. Freshie though gets the frag and drops, got nothing to work with. HP dwindling. Time as well running out. CTs need to push soon, and drop finds nothing. Boss on 12. Boss on match point.
It felt like we had a round almost identical to this on MIBR CT side as well. That retaking of middle. This time they do it as a whole pack there on Boss. Once they realized that that A site went completely quiet, they had cheated rotates away from that B bomb site. They stick together, they find Insani on that lurk, and then all of a sudden, even though that bomb site is breached, It's this AWP. It was the scout of safe when it happened for MIBR. But Pone, I mean, that quick scope did so much.
33-year-old talent, man. That's what he is.
Yeah, he was the 33-year-old prodigy. A man that was once the identity of the party astronauts, now here stepping up big for Boss as well. MIBR on their 100% map win rate on Ancient could have that big number, that triple digits, felled by this plucky little North American underdog.
And I have to say, Cryptic is doing some fantastic calling right now and putting up the numbers all together.
Someone that feels so free-flowing when he's hitting frags himself. Definitely one of these frag into proper mindset in-game leaders. He finds the space.
There's only one thing you can ask. 100% win rate who?
Made in Brazil or in Mexico.
And there's a lot of manufacturing, but it's all North American. Shout out to good trade agreements.
Still got to get that one more round, though.
Red is the one looking to produce. Good for one, almost a second, but can't finish it off, and that's where drop comes into factor. Darty, right around the corner he goes, and it's only Insani, crippled, walking with blood over his body. And an expectation on his shoulders that he surely cannot have. 13 and a massive upset. The second game of the Americas RMR. Boss, take it away.
MIBR's favorite map. It's Boss's too, but you see how much this means to them. They have just completely upset the map that I can't believe they even picked or allowed into. But let's see how that desk reacts as well.
Well, there we have it. Boss, after winning their T-side pistol and then losing the follow-up round, have managed to close out this map and therefore the series over on Ancient. Dust, talk to me. Was this much of a surprise for you seeing their performance on this?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a Made in Brazil team who has had top 4 finishes internationally up against a Boss team who has been kind of in the middle of the pack of North American regional play, coming in with the stand-in and Pone alone, dealing with quite a lot. And then you're facing a team Made in Brazil who have won their last 10 games in a row on this map of Ancient and have looked like one of the best teams in Americas on Ancient, to be quite honest with you. And it is fantastic to see, you know, an underdog like Boss be able to step in like this, because not only were they not favored to win this particular map against this particular team, they just weren't favored to do much in this tournament in general. So to make a bold statement in this opening match is fantastic for Boss. I tip my hat to them.
It's really got to
even though I don't
taste
have
good
one
as well. You know, it's got to feel really good. You know that they're playing for Cynic as well going into this, and just getting that first win, which arguably is a big upset win with a team like MIBR on the other side of the map today. That's just got to feel really, really good for Boss. So, look, props to them. Big, big performance. But the thing is, if they keep up this kind of performance, is it going to be enough to carry them to the major? Because I hope it is. I really hope it is for Boss.
Now, on the MIBR front, on the MIBR side of things as well, is there any key factor that you think really contributed to their downfall on this Ancient map?
I'm really not sure. It felt like everyone on Boss was just playing out of their damn minds. And maybe it comes down to what we were saying quickly on the desk before the game went live, really quickly, is that, you know, there was a lot of reps from MIBR on Ancient that Boss could have a look at. Boss loved playing this. It felt like they were just able to know exactly what MIBR were doing. Every time MIBR looked like they might have had an opportunity, you'd see just some crazy old nuts plays coming out of Boss. And that's what it comes down to in a best of one. Whoever's better on the day is going to take the cake, and Boss was doing all the cutting.
Yeah, and I think one key thing to take away from this as well is when we take a look at the scoreboard, it seemed as though there was consistent fragging capabilities across the board, across both of these teams as well, Dust. Was there anybody that you were focusing on before we headed into this match to really be a driving force?
I mean, early on the Made in Brazil side, it'd be the young rifling kind of duo coming up from MIBR Academy, which is BRN and Insani. And Insani did have a pretty good game, to be fair, but, you know, Safe on the AWP was a lot more off than I thought he was going to be. Meanwhile, on the other side, you pretty much had Boss firing on all cylinders. I mean, Cryptic was leading not only as the IGL, but also in the metrics when it comes to kills and ADR. And really, everyone stepped up and made big plays at different points in time throughout this process. And I mean, you know, a very scrappy start to the game, but Boss set settle in pretty quickly, get a pretty nice lead on their T side. Made in Brazil fight back a little bit, you know, kind of winning that to the 5 out of 6 round stretch as you transition to halves. But I mean, look at the domination by Boss that last 5 rounds. Only 1 bomb plant allowed and all of that as well.
Another stat that is pretty telling right now is that Boss only got 10 of the entries. They played 20 rounds. That means there's 3 of those rounds they lost the first opening. So playing on a 4v5 and managing to get those 3 is